So for the longest time, I've heard of cross-script attack, I've heard of HTTP-only cookies, I've even used cookies in the HTTP-only cookie, but I've always wondered about that attack angle, like how does it go about? And so I just wanted to share a video showing how that attack can be done. So, and also, use HTTP-only cookies for session or any sensitive data instead of having them on a normal cookie. So let's look at these terms. First, we'll start with just the definition, right? So we have a HTTP-only cookie is a secure flag set by your web server that prevents client-side JavaScript from accessing or modifying the cookie's contents. And that's what we'll see. When you're using a normal cookie, we'll be able to read the contents using a JavaScript code, client-side JavaScript. Then we have HTTP-only cookies versus the normal cookie. So we've mentioned HTTP-only cookies are a security feature that prevents client-side scripts like JavaScript from accessing cookies, mitigating cross-site scripting attacks. Whereas normal cookies are fully accessible to JavaScript. Therefore, HTTP-only cookies are ideal for session tokens and sensitive data as they are only sent to the server. Then, one last term, XSS. So, cross-site scripting is a vulnerability where the attacker injects a malicious client-side script, like JavaScript or usually JavaScript, into otherwise trusted websites. And because the browser views the script as coming from a legitimate site, the script is executed and it can steal session cookies, log keystrokes, or hijack user accounts. So we'll just have a look at what I've done here. So if we go to, I have this file, we'll notice that if I go to the attacker side, we've mentioned that XSS is where we are attacking by injecting malicious code. And so you'll notice here we have an image that when an error occurs, if there's an error loading this image, it'll try to do something. It'll try to send a request doing something. So in this case, it's sending a request and it's stealing something as it's been listed here. And what we'll be stealing are the cookies. And so if you're using a normal cookie, we should be able to get access to the cookie and send it to the attacker. So me as the attacker and me as the victim as well. But if we're using a HTTP-only cookie, then this script that's being run will not be able to perform that. So we'll just have a look at that right now. So like in this case, we have two people here. We have a site. So let's say this is a company and they collaborate. I'm an influencer, for example, and I collaborate with different people. So I have a site where my team receives emails for collaborations, and then, we look at the emails and we accept or we deny those collaborations. Similarly, there is this person who's stating themselves to be a collaborator, but is actually an attacker. How this will happen is, I'll start with the regular cookie, and I'll log in. Once I log in, my inbox, nothing is there. So we can see that the session token can actually be seen. It's what's been stored in the storage for the session. And then I would come here as the attacker and send a message. Oh, hi, I'm requesting for collaboration. And then the message is received. Once the message is received on this end, excited, I come and view that message. While I'm viewing that message, I notice the image is not visible, but okay. I couldn't see the image, but I read what they shared. Something has already happened. So we mentioned that if the image has an error as the attacker, we mentioned that if there's an error loading the image, send something. And that was intentional. There will not be an image to be visible at this point. So we intentionally did that. So what's happening here is that the attacker now has the session token. And because this user is still logged in, I could copy this token. And then I come to this side. I'll not even try to log in. I'll just go to the storage. We mentioned that the cookie is stored in storage. So it could be, because I'm using Firefox, I'll just find it directly. If I was using Chrome, for example, it would be under application storage. So I go to this and I look for, do we have session? So I can create it myself. So I'll come here and do, because I'm not seeing the session token, I'll come here and I'll create one. I think it was session token, and then its value will be, damn, it didn't copy it, so let me just go back here. I don't know why I'm struggling. I could just go back to this side and then take it from here. Notice it's the same one. It's the same one, so I'm just using this because it's easier to copy. Then I come to this side. So I've just taken that from the site, and then I'll come back here and I'll just reload this, and then I'm logged in. So now I've been able to take their session and use it as myself. So yeah, so this is what we try to avoid, right? So that's when using a regular cookie, a normal cookie, right? So I'll log out. Don't think we need to stay logged in. Once I'm logged out, what we'll do is, now normally you would be logged in and then immediately someone would change every detail. So they change your password, they change your email, they change things that would enable them stay logged in or be able to log in later after you try to log out, right? So in this case, I've been logged out because the user logged out. But then in an attack kind of thing, someone would stay logged in. So that's when using a regular cookie. Now, when you use a HTTP only cookie and someone has done the same thing, I'll go back here, clear the log so that we have nothing. So the message already exists, but then if I view it, no token will be taken, because when using a HTTP only cookie, the script that's running is not able to read the value of the token in this case, right? So yes, this is exactly why we should be using HTTP only cookies instead of a normal cookie when you are trying to save session related data that's sensitive, and that includes the access token. That's for authorization, authentication, any of that. So yes, we have that, and you see this would, by them getting your HTTP only cookie, they don't even need your password, they don't even need your 2FA, so all that just null and void if you've not used that correct thing, which is the HTTP only cookie in this case. And remember, don't use it alone and then think you're safe. It's just one of the things that I'm seeing that you need to do. So one of the things you need to do, have the HTTP only cookie and then set it to secure, and then yeah, just read more about it and all that. Yeah, so it's a cool thing. Yeah, so that was an interesting something to try out. So that's it from me, and yeah, see you on the next one.